Imagine this. A monk, wrapped in crimson robes, kneels beside a lifeless body. The air is thick with incense, the dim glow of butter lamps flickering against ancient stone walls. He speaks, not to the living, but to the departed. His voice, low and deliberate, weaves through the silence like a thread, guiding the soul through realms unseen. But the one he speaks to is already gone. For over 1,000 years, Tibetan mystics have taught that death is not an end. It's a doorway, a passage into something vast, something beyond human comprehension. They say that in the moments after our final breath, we are set adrift in a realm of shifting visions, a place where the illusions of the material world dissolve and something deeper is revealed. But what if there was a map, a guide through the unknown? Hidden within the sacred text known as the Tibetan Book of the Dead lies a mysterious teaching, an ancient script whispered to souls on the edge of existence, a blueprint for navigating the afterlife, and perhaps for understanding life itself. What does this book reveal? Could it truly show us what lies beyond death? Tonight, we unlock the mysteries of the Bardo Thodol, a guide written not just for the dying, but for the living. Stay with me. What you're about to discover may change the way you see life and death forever. The Bardo Thodol, or as it is known in the West, the Tibetan Book of the Dead, is not just a book. It is a gateway, a portal into the most mysterious transition of all, the passage between death and rebirth. For centuries, this sacred text has been revered as a guide for departing souls, offering instructions to navigate the afterlife with striking precision, as if mapping the very fabric of existence beyond the physical world. But where did this knowledge come from? Who first inscribed these revelations? To understand its origins, we must turn to a figure wrapped in both history and legend, a being so enigmatic, so otherworldly, that his presence alone reshaped the spiritual destiny of an entire nation. His name was Padmasambhava, the Precious Master, known to many as Guru Rinpoche. A tantric master, a mystic, an alchemist of the mind, Padmasambhava was no ordinary monk. He is credited with bringing Buddhism to Tibet in the 8th century, but his story stretches far beyond mere historical accounts. His name is whispered with awe, his life described not in dates and events, but in myths and miracles. It is said he was born in the mystical land of Odiyana, an ancient kingdom lost to time, speculated to have been in present-day Pakistan or Afghanistan. But Padmasambhava was not simply born. He arrived, fully awakened, emerging from a lotus in the middle of a lake. From the very beginning, he was beyond the ordinary. His journey led him deep into the esoteric traditions, where he did not merely study sacred knowledge, he embodied it. He is said to have tamed spirits, unlocked the hidden powers of the mind, and mastered forces beyond human comprehension. And when he arrived in Tibet, he stepped into a land where the ancient bone tradition held sway, a world of shamanic rites, elemental forces, and deities bound to the land itself. But the spirits of Tibet did not welcome him. They resisted his presence, stirring against the arrival of Buddhist teachings. Yet Padmasambhava did not seek to destroy them. He transformed them. Through his mastery, he turned the very deities that once opposed him into protectors of the Dharma, merging their power into Tibetan Buddhism rather than erasing them. And in this sacred fusion, something extraordinary took shape. A spiritual tradition where the material and the mystical coexisted, where death was not an end, but a passage, a doorway into something far greater. It was within this mystical landscape that the Bardo Thodol was born, but the text itself was not written down during Padmasambhava's lifetime. He knew its knowledge was too potent, too profound for the world of his time. Instead, he entrusted it to his closest disciple, the enlightened master Yeshe Tsogyal. Under his guidance, she recorded these sacred teachings, inscribing them not onto scrolls for public eyes, but into the very fabric of time itself. She concealed them, hiding them away as terma, hidden treasures, knowing that their wisdom was meant for a distant future, when humanity would be ready to receive it. And so, for centuries, the Tibetan Book of the Dead remained a secret. It was not until the 14th century that a terton, or treasure revealer, named Karma Lingpa rediscovered the text, bringing it back into the world. Since then, its wisdom has been passed from generation to generation, acting as both a map and a mirror, a guide through the great transition of death and a reflection of the deepest mysteries of consciousness. But what exactly does the Bardo Thodol reveal? And why has it been considered one of the most powerful spiritual guides ever written? To answer that, we must enter the Bardos, the intermediate states between life, death, and rebirth, where the soul encounters visions of celestial splendor and terrifying illusions, and where, in a fleeting moment, the ultimate opportunity for liberation awaits. In the silent space between the last breath and the first stirrings of rebirth lies a realm few have seen and even fewer have understood. This is the Bardo, the mysterious bridge between worlds, a passage where the boundaries of existence dissolve and the soul is laid bare before the great unknown. According to the Bardo Thodol, death is not a single event, but a journey through 3 distinct stages, each a mirror reflecting the deepest layers of our consciousness. These realms are not external places, but shifting landscapes of the mind, where the weight of our karma shapes what we see, where visions of wonder and terror arise, and where a rare opportunity for liberation presents itself. But this journey is perilous. For those who are unprepared, the Bardos become a labyrinth, pulling them back into the cycle of rebirth. For those who recognize their nature, they offer a gateway to enlightenment. Let us now step into these mysterious realms, one by one. 1. The Bardo of the moment of death, Chikai Bardo. The first gateway opens the instant life ends. As the body exhales its final breath, a profound stillness washes over the departing soul. The physical world fades, the senses dissolve, and in that vast silence, something extraordinary unfolds. A blinding, infinite radiance appears, the clear light of ultimate reality. It is neither a place nor a vision, but the raw, undistorted essence of existence. It is truth in its purest form, beyond identity, beyond time. For a fleeting moment, there is a chance, an opening so profound that, if recognized, it leads directly to liberation. If the soul surrenders to this light, understanding it as its own true nature, it is freed from the cycle of samsara forever. But most cannot. Conditioned by lifetimes of attachment, fear, and identity, the soul recoils from the overwhelming brilliance. The ego, unwilling to dissolve, grasps for something familiar, anything to hold on to. And just like that, the opportunity is lost. The light fades, and the journey continues. 2. The Bardo of Visions, Chonyid Bardo. Now, the mind awakens in a strange and shifting realm. The Chonyid Bardo, the Bardo of Visions, is unlike anything the soul has ever known. Here, reality becomes fluid. Thought and perception shape the landscape. Time ceases to move in a straight line. Instead, the soul drifts through vast, dreamlike dimensions, encountering beings both divine and terrifying. First come the peaceful deities, luminous, celestial forms radiating wisdom and compassion. They extend a silent invitation: merge with us, dissolve into the higher consciousness you have always been. If the soul recognizes them as projections of its own enlightened mind, it ascends beyond the illusion of self. But if fear remains, if attachment to identity lingers, the vision changes. The wrathful deities appear, towering, nightmarish figures with piercing eyes, roaring voices, and a presence so immense it shakes the very fabric of existence. They chase, they threaten, they devour. To the unprepared, this is a hellish nightmare. But to those who understand, it is the same test in another form. The wrathful deities are not tormentors, but the mind's own fears made manifest. If the soul can face them without terror, recognizing them as illusions, they dissolve, revealing the path to freedom. Few pass this test. Overcome with dread, most souls flee, running deeper into the labyrinth toward the final stage of the journey. 3. The Bardo of Becoming, Sidpa Bardo. By the time the soul reaches the Sidpa Bardo, clarity has faded. The radiant light is gone, the deities have disappeared. And now, only one thing remains: karma. Here, the force of past actions takes hold, pulling the soul toward its next life. Visions of potential rebirths emerge, glimpses of families, bodies, and circumstances that match the soul's energy. These are not random. They are drawn by the gravity of past choices, the vibrational echoes of a lifetime's thoughts, actions, and desires. For the unaware, the pull is irresistible. The cycle continues, and the soul is swept toward reincarnation, its past forgotten like a dream upon waking. But for the awakened, those who remain conscious even here, a final choice remains. The enlightened soul can influence its next incarnation, choosing conditions that will further its spiritual evolution. The most advanced can even refuse rebirth altogether, breaking free from the wheel of samsara, ascending beyond the cycle of life and death. But for most, the choice is not theirs to make. The soul is drawn into a new life. The memories of the bardos fade into shadow, and once again, existence begins anew. The Bardo Thodol was never meant to be a book of abstract philosophy. It is a guide, a whispered instruction for the dying, read aloud by a lama or loved one, meant to remind the departing soul of what is to come. It is a map of the in-between, a lifeline for those on the edge of the abyss. But its wisdom is not only for the dead. The bardos are not just afterlife realms, they exist within us even now. Every moment of transformation, every deep meditation, every experience of profound loss or change mirrors the bardos. To understand them is to prepare not just for death, but for life itself. For if the Bardo Thodol is a map, where does it lead? To answer that, we must go beyond the bardos and explore what lies beyond the cycle of death and rebirth itself. Bardo Thodol is not merely a guide to the afterlife. It presents the ultimate choice every soul must face: liberation or rebirth. Will we remain bound to the endless turning of the wheel of samsara, repeating the same joys and sorrows through lifetime after lifetime? Or will we awaken to our true nature and break free from this cosmic cycle? This is the final mystery hidden within the Tibetan Book of the Dead, one that transcends death itself and reaches into the very fabric of existence. To unravel it, we must journey into the heart of Tibetan Buddhist wisdom, where karma, consciousness, and enlightenment weave the destiny of all beings. In Buddhist philosophy, existence is a vast and ceaseless cycle. the wheel of samsara. It is a cosmic machine that grinds forward endlessly, powered by the force of karma, the accumulated thoughts, actions, and intentions of countless past lives. Most beings remain trapped within this cycle, moving through 6 realms of existence. The God realm, a paradise of bliss, yet impermanent and deceptive. The demigod realm, a domain of power, ambition, and eternal conflict. The human realm, the realm of balance, where suffering and wisdom coexist. The animal realm, a world governed by instinct, where ignorance prevails. The hungry ghost realm, a shadowy place of endless craving and unfulfilled desires. The hell realm, a domain of torment, where negative karma is burned away. Each realm is a reflection of the mind's attachments and fears. A life fueled by anger may lead to the agony of the hell realm. A life consumed by greed may end in the restless suffering of the hungry ghosts. Even the seemingly blissful God realm is an illusion. When one's good karma is exhausted, they inevitably fall back into lower states of existence. But there is an escape, a way to step off the wheel entirely. According to the Bardo Thodol, the moment of death is more than an ending. It is a gateway. The experiences of the Bardos, the radiant clear light, the peaceful and wrathful deities, the karmic winds that pull the soul toward rebirth, are not random visions, but tests. If one can recognize their nature, they can transcend the cycle of samsara and attain nirvana. Nirvana is not a place, nor a distant paradise. It is the cessation of illusion, the complete dissolution of suffering and self, a merging with the boundless, formless essence of existence itself. But to reach this state, one must be prepared. Tibetan teachings emphasize 3 essential practices: mindfulness in life. By observing our thoughts, emotions, and actions with awareness, we cultivate the clarity needed to navigate the Bardos when the time comes. Meditation on the clear light. Through deep meditation, we train the mind to recognize the luminous, formless nature of reality, so that when death arrives, we do not recoil in fear. Compassion and non-attachment. By letting go of desires, fears, and clinging to identity, we weaken the karmic forces that pull us back into samsara. Those who master these practices may achieve liberation at the moment of death. But even for those who do not, the Bardo Thodol offers another path, one that is less known, yet just as powerful: the art of conscious rebirth. For most, escaping samsara in a single lifetime is rare, but the Bardo Thodol reveals a hidden secret. Even if one must be reborn, they do not have to do so blindly. During the Sidpa Bardo, the final stage before rebirth, the soul is drawn toward new parents, new circumstances, a new destiny. This attraction is shaped by karma, but for the conscious soul, it is also a choice. The most advanced practitioners, the bodhisattvas, do not seek to escape existence for themselves alone. Instead, they choose their rebirth, returning not out of attachment, but out of compassion. They reincarnate to help others awaken, guiding them toward liberation. These are the great spiritual masters, the mystics, the enlightened ones who walk among us, though their origins are lost in the tides of time. Even for those of us who are not yet bodhisattvas, the wisdom of the Bardo Thodol is invaluable. By understanding the Bardos, by training the mind in life, we can influence our next incarnation. We can move toward a life that brings us closer to awakening, rather than one that traps us deeper in illusion. In the West, death is seen as an end, a finality. But in Tibetan wisdom, it is something far greater, a doorway, a moment of profound transformation where the illusion of self dissolves and the truth of existence is revealed. The Bardo Thodol is not just a book for the dying, it is a book for the living. It teaches us that everything we fear in death, uncertainty, illusion, suffering is already present in life. And just as we can navigate the bardos after death, we can navigate the bardos here and now. We do not need to wait until our final breath to awaken. The path to liberation begins today. But what of those who have already crossed the threshold? Could it be that spirits, lost in the bardos, still wander the realms between life and death? And if so, can the living guide them home? That is a mystery for another time. In the silent space between life and rebirth, there are those who do not move forward. Some souls remain trapped, wandering the shadowy corridors of the bardos, unable or unwilling to recognize their new reality. These are the lost souls, the lingering spirits, the restless dead. But what if the living could reach them? What if the Bardo Thodol is not merely a guide for the dying, but a bridge between worlds? Unlike any other sacred text, the Tibetan Book of the Dead is not meant only to be read for wisdom. It is meant to be spoken to the departed. Its words are not just teachings, they are invocations, a voice calling through the veil, reminding the soul of who they truly are. But how is this possible? And what does it reveal about the true nature of consciousness itself? According to Tibetan teachings, the moment of death brings a profound revelation, the luminous, infinite, clear light of reality. For those who are ready, this is liberation. They dissolve into it, free from illusion, free from samsara. But not all souls are ready. Fear, attachment, confusion, even disbelief. These forces cloud awareness, preventing the dying from recognizing their own death. Some souls remain gripped by their former lives, unwilling to let go. Others, caught in the karmic winds of past actions, relive fragmented memories, looping through visions of unresolved desires, regrets, and attachments. These souls become bardo wanderers, adrift in the in-between, unable to move toward rebirth or enlightenment. Some do not even realize they have died. But there is something even deeper at play. In the West, we think of consciousness as something locked within the brain, a mere byproduct of biology. But Tibetan wisdom suggests otherwise. If awareness continues beyond death, untethered from the body, then perhaps it is not confined by time or space at all. And if that is true, then perhaps the living can reach the dead. For 49 days after death, Tibetan monks, family members, or spiritual guides perform sacred rituals, reading the Bardo Thodol aloud. But this is not mourning, it is guidance. The words are meant to penetrate the veil, to call the lost soul back to clarity. The text speaks as if the dead can hear. "O noble one, do not be afraid. The visions before you are illusions of your own mind. Recognize them as such, and you shall be free." The concept is simple yet profound. Even beyond death, awareness persists. A soul lost in the bardos may still listen. If someone calls to them, offering wisdom, reminding them of their choices, they may awaken. They may escape fear. They may move toward liberation or a more favorable rebirth. But this raises a deeper question. If the dead can hear us, what else might they experience? And if they can still interact with the world of the living, does that mean some spirits remain among us? In Tibetan tradition, ghosts are not necessarily malevolent. A spirit is not a curse. It is simply a soul that has not moved on. Some remain bound by karmic debts, reliving echoes of their past. Others, driven by love or duty, linger as protectors, watching over those they left behind. And then, there are those who are lost, adrift in the bardos, seeking a way forward. Ancient texts describe hungry ghosts, spirits whose insatiable cravings keep them tethered to the earthly realm. Some ghosts are drawn back by powerful emotions, anger, longing, unfinished business. Others are simply confused, unaware that they have died. This is why, in Tibetan culture, spiritual practices are not just for the living. Prayers, rituals, and offerings are performed for the dead, to help them transition, to free them from suffering, to guide them toward liberation. But what if this connection runs even deeper? If the Bardo Thodol teaches us that the mind is not bound by the body, then perhaps death is not the impenetrable wall we believe it to be. Many ancient traditions, shamanic rituals, ancestor veneration, mystical practices suggest that contact between the living and the dead is not only possible but natural. Could the wisdom of the Bardos hold the key? Some Tibetan lamas claim that in deep meditation, one can reach a soul lost in the Bardos, guiding them just as the sacred text does. Others believe that in dreams, in rituals, in moments of heightened awareness, the living and the dead may cross paths. If this is true, then the journey of the soul is not a solitary one. We are not alone in life, and we are not alone in death. But this realization leads to an even greater mystery, one that challenges everything we assume about existence itself. If consciousness is not confined to the body, if the mind persists beyond death, then what does this reveal about the very nature of reality? And if liberation is possible, then who or what is truly dreaming this reality? The Bardo Thodol is more than a guide for the dead. It is a mirror held up to the living. It reveals a truth so unsettling that most minds resist it. The states we encounter after death are not new. The illusions, the fears, the attachments, these do not suddenly appear in the afterlife. They are here now, shaping every moment of our existence. But if death is merely a transition, a passage between forms, then what truly is life? The illusion of the self. Are you already in a bardo? Tibetan wisdom suggests that we are never truly alive in the way we imagine. The ego, the identity we cling to, is not solid, not permanent. It is a flickering mirage, a collection of thoughts and emotions strung together, dissolving as quickly as they arise. And here is the secret. You do not have to die to awaken. Right now, you are in a bardo, a state of transition, a dream between birth and death. The waking world is no less illusory than the visions of the Chonyid Bardo, where wrathful and peaceful deities emerge from the depths of the mind. Just as the dead face their own projections, shadows of their desires and fears, the living do the same. Every moment of suffering, every moment of joy, is nothing more than a reflection of your own consciousness. Look around you. What if everything, the people, the struggles, the circumstances, is part of a grand illusion, one shaped by your mind? And what if, like a soul wandering the bardos, you have the power to awaken, to recognize that you are dreaming even as you dream? The Bardo Thodol does not merely describe the passage through death. It offers a key to ending the cycle entirely. In the Chikai Bardo, when the clear light of reality appears, the soul has a moment, an opportunity to dissolve into the infinite, to break free. But fear pulls it back, attachment pulls it back, and so the cycle of samsara continues. But here is the deeper truth. This is the same pattern we repeat in life. Liberation is not a reward granted after lifetimes of struggle. It is here, it is now. Every instant holds the possibility of awakening, if only we can recognize it. But how? The great Tibetan masters left behind methods, meditation, visualization, the practice of phawa, conscious dying, not to prepare the mind for some distant afterlife, but to awaken it now. Because if you can recognize the nature of mind before death, you will recognize it in the afterlife. If you can see through illusion in life, you will not be deceived in the bardos. The Bardo Thodol is not a book of philosophy. It is not speculation. It is an instruction manual for consciousness, a map of unseen realms. And it asks you the most important question of all. If death is only a continuation of the mind's journey, how will you prepare? Will you wait until your final breath to seek the truth? Or will you begin now, to dissolve illusion, to awaken within the dream, to see through the fabric of reality before it is too late? Perhaps the greatest mystery of the Bardo Thodol is not what happens when we die, but whether we will have the courage to wake up before we do. And that leaves you with a question. What do you believe happens after death? Do these ancient teachings resonate with you? Or do you see the afterlife differently? Share your thoughts in the comments below. Let's explore this mystery together. If this journey into the Tibetan Book of the Dead has sparked something within you, consider subscribing for more deep dives into esoteric wisdom, ancient knowledge, and practical spirituality. Until next time, stay awake, stay aware, and keep seeking.